Happy Sabbath. The ancient Jews would take Saturday and celebrate it as a holy day. They called it Sabbath. And the fourth commandment says to keep the Sabbath holy. And one of the things that the ancient Jews would do, that they still do even today on Sabbath, is they don't work, they rest. And in the ancient Jewish culture, they had another thing called the Year of Jubilee, where every 50 years, they would not plant or sow or farm like normal. They would give the land a whole year to rest. Now, some crazy things are happening in the world right now in this time of forced Jubilee. There are dolphins showing up in places in Italy where they've never seen dolphins before. There are deer in streets in the cities of Japan. San Francisco seeing coyotes walking in their streets. Certain cities in China are seeing blue sky for the first time. It's almost like nature is saying, thank you. We needed a break. And that's kind of what Sabbath was meant to be for humanity. We're so goal-oriented and task-driven and go, go, go. And God knew that we would need a vacation every week to where we would just stop and rest and relax. And that's one reason why in the Old Testament he says, Sabbath is a sign between my people and me. And I'm an Adventist, and in our culture, we keep the Sabbath. But a lot of times that day has been shifted from a sign between us and God saying, hey, we're here, we trust in you, to a thing we just have to do because that's what the Bible says. And if we don't do that, then maybe God won't bless us and we'll get in trouble. And for a lot of Adventists, Sabbath is a burden. It's a time when we look at the sundown and our clocks and say, well, now we can't do those things and we have to keep Sabbath. And then when Sabbath is over, all right, everyone, bust out the TV and the games, let's have fun. And it's not that way at all. You see, in Romans, Paul is talking about circumcision. And he says that circumcision was a sign between God and Abraham. And it was more than just an outward mini surgery. It was a sign that Abraham's heart had changed. And when God said, do you trust me to do this really painful thing? Abraham said, yes, I trust you. You see, Abraham was saved by faith, not by circumcision. And Sabbath is a sign where God says, do you trust me? Because there's no real reason to keep the seventh day holy. I mean, nighttime, it gets dark, so that's a good reason to sleep. But Saturday, there's nothing special about that day. It's just God says, hey, do you trust me? Will you take a break? Just like the Year of Jubilee. God says, hey, do you trust me? Will you not plant this year and just trust that I will provide for you? You see, sometimes God asks us to do things that on the surface don't really make sense. And it's just an outward sign for us to show that we trust in Him. But on the surface, it doesn't make sense. But if you go deeper, it really does make sense. There's a lot of people in the secular business world who are saying to their followers on Instagram and social media and people who read their books, they're saying once a week, you need to take a day where you don't do any kind of work on your business. Just focus on your family. Just focus on rest. Do whatever you do for spiritual recharging, because that will grow your business. You see, they've discovered a natural principle that when we take a break once a week, we can do more. And I wonder if there's the same natural principle with the world. If we give the world, nature, a break every 50 years, it will be able to do more. Today is a special day. this quarantine is a special time where we're supposed to just stop. And in that moment of pause, we can fill it with Netflix, or we can fill it with chores around the house, or we can fill it by growing our trust in God and saying, God, I choose to trust you today. I choose to rest in you today. And when we make that choice, God's peace will flow into our hearts. If you liked this short talk, and if you think someone else needs to hear it, share it with someone. And subscribe to this channel so you can get an encouraging message every day. Because I'm going to be making these videos every day for this entire quarantine to remind us that no matter how crazy the world gets out there, God's peace can rule in our hearts in here. Happy Sabbath, and God bless.